and it has resources that no other organization has got. This organization exists in every ward of this country. It exists, even if some may be fast asleep in that ward, but they exist there. If you go to a ward, you will find a member of the African ANC. You'll find ANC members there. You're not going to miss them. It's a question of what are they doing? That is the question. So I would like to say this is extraordinary. President, it's a turnaround where we were held ransom. And I want to say this because it will explain this issue about morality. Once you have an organization that's captured, it can't do what it's supposed to do. When you've got people who serve other interests rather than the interests of the people, then the organization cannot get arrested. I don't want to go into that, and the damage was deep. And I can only say, in short, corruption hollowed the state entities so that they are not able to do what they are supposed to do. Weakened and corrupted civil service, deploying officials without capacity to do the work. And we wrestled with this challenge, which I would call counter-revolution. If you steal money of pensioners, you are a counter-revolutionary. You can't be a revolutionary. It's impossible. And so we battled with that. We also had to engage in a struggle to stop the efforts of repurposing the ANC so that the ANC serves the interests of people, factions, and families rather than the people. We have gone through that experience. We had to deal with the issue about corrupted comrades. I don't know whether I can call them comrades, and compromised individuals. When you are compromised, you serve the interests of the person who compromised you. And I would like just to run through this, Comrade Chair, to say since the 54th conference, we talked about renewal, but it took us 7 years to be where we are today. And why? It's because if you are captured, you have to wriggle out of it. You had to do commissions that I don't want to spend time about, clean up the security system, prosecution system, investigate, prosecute, capture us, and corrupt people, criminal syndicates, gangs, extortionists who are embedded within us. It was a struggle that was important, but we had to deal with the damage that has been done. I would like to say today, President, I'm sure you will say that we have gone through this painful 7 years. I've counted it. And now it is time to revolutionary step up the organization to a level where it is supposed to be. And so with all of you who are here, you are the frontline ground forces. What you have here is frontline ground forces that are unleashed to fight this battle from the ground. And I want to use the language with an air cover from regional structures, provincial structures, national structures. The councillors can't do anything alone without the support of the rest of the movement. I would like to say that the number of people who are here are like the ears and eyes of the movement. I can't believe these numbers. And I believe you can make a difference in your branches. And the SG has talked about this. Comrades, you can't have water, sewer running in a street, and there's a branch in that ward, and there is a councillor in that place. You can't. The first people who should know about it should not be the media, it should be us. It should be the cadres on the ground who are going to say, there's a sewer here. There was a sewer on my way to church in Soweto. And I called comrades Snooky and said, you've got that outfit there. Deal with this sewer. I don't want to come back next week and find it running here again. And I came back next week, the sewer was gone. And the question is, where is the councillor in that place? And where is the branch of the African National Congress? We need to reach a stage where we know before anybody knows, because we have got the capacity to do so. If you don't know, it means you don't exist. So the best way, SG, to measure whether a branch exists is if you find sewer and the branch has said nothing about it. If it hasn't said nothing about it, you must go and reconstruct that branch, because it is not there to do what it is supposed to do. So I would like to say that people, you must return to the people and be organized with the people, serve their interests, because that's our revolutionary task. The people must be your cover. I know that these criminals have taken off and they took advantage of some of us, and I will come to that just now. But the people must be our cover, even during the most difficult times in our struggle. The people were our cover. And you knew that if you have the people on your side, you are covered. And we need to fight this battle, end the game of the corrupt, the corrupted, and the compromised. The message I want to bring to you from an ethical, moral, revolutionary perspective is that we must be unequivocal as members of the African National Congress about corruption, fraud, and criminality. There is no policy, I've checked, there's no policy that allows corruption in this country, in this organization. And I would like to say, President, there's a time when I used to attend every January 8, and every president made a statement about corruption. Go and look at it. No one has not talked about corruption. There's no policy like that. And if somebody is corrupt, that person should not be part of this organization. Anyone who's involved in corrupt activities does not belong to the African National Congress. And anyone who is engaged in acts of corruption cannot do it in the name of the African National Congress. I would like to say, with this extraordinary event, President, that this should be the day when these troops, the army of the ANC, goes back to their branches and say, there is nobody who commits crime and corrupt acts who can be called ANC. And the ANC must never, ever, ever take responsibility for people who steal money and use it for themselves, and the ANC is poor. They use it for themselves, but the ANC suffers. That those who are captured or have allowed criminal gangs and extortionists to be embedded within them or in government are enemies of the people. Anybody who does that is an enemy of the people. I don't want to speak about Haiti. I was there, we visited 100th anniversary. The struggle is huge, it's against imperialists and etc. But Haiti today, the first black republic, was taken over by criminals, and they can't, even government couldn't function. UN had to make a decision to get countries to deploy police in Haiti so that it can function. We don't want to reach a stage where criminals who embed themselves within us and work with us and then destroy the country because of that. We need to live here as ANC and say, this is the end. It's not going to happen in the African National Congress or in the country in which we are living. We can't surrender the country to anybody who is in that way. And I just want to talk about, President, two types of people who are very dangerous. It's the predators of policies of empowerment of our people. When you put up a policy to empower people, they grab it and use it to achieve their own objectives. Even a simple thing like business forum. When you create a business forum to get business in the townships to actually participate in the economy, they set themselves up and make the person who does the tender to pay them for being there and saying, I'll organize black workers to come and serve, to provide services. And then this person goes to these poor black people in a township and say, if you support supply cement, you must pay me so much. So the poor people pay this person, the rich person pays this person, and they exploit our people. Even when you want to have a tender, they ask you, how much are you going to pay? Comrades, we can't destroy the very people we want to empower. And so today must be a day where these troops live here and say, this is not going to be allowed in our municipality. When you are employed and paid, you can't make people pay to get a job. Now, what I'm telling you about, the people know, by the way, they don't need us. They know what's happening in the township. I spend lots of time in Soweto. I mean, in Soweto, ESCOM officials take over the infrastructure and they go to people, remove a part from this particular transformer, go and collect 100 rands each from that community to come and pay this guy to put that part there, and he comes as a person who helps them. And this person is part of ESCOM. And then when they pay him, he fixes this, take the part from elsewhere and fix it, and others don't have it, and they go and pay the person. Comrades, you can't tell me that we don't know that. If I know it, you know it. We need to stop it. We need to say, this is the end. We are now about to serve the people we're going to serve the people of this country. And we're not going to allow this behavior that happens. Some even have Christmas, tenders for Christmas. I learned something new. Tender for Christmas. Comrades, somebody in that municipality knows about it. So I would like to say, Mr. President, the people we have here are a powerful intelligence source to tell us exactly what is happening on the ground. Next, no corrupt activities or characters must be allowed to stop or slow down efforts to roll out services to the people. If you can't use normal channels and it's risky, we have the hotlines and etc., and efforts are going to be made so that people can report that street where somebody put poles for electricity, supposedly, and doesn't put them, but in the account where he gets paid for poles that have not been put there. We cannot allow it. We know that. If I know it, you must know it. And I just want to say that revolutionary morality requires us to take a stand and make sure this does not happen in the African National Congress. Let me conclude with something I've said before. And I just want to say, this is where my Sunday school lessons are very good and learned from. There is an expression that says that saying that the parents did something wrong, the parents have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set to edge, must come to an end. So this thing about the ANC Yamasela must come to an end. It must come to an end. And when we leave here, we're going to make sure that it comes to an end. And you don't do it by theorizing. You do it by acting. You do it by making sure that nobody does that type of thing. I would like to conclude by referring to the challenge we are facing. We are facing challenge of delivery of services. The NEC has done a plan. We're going to get on the ground and we're going to show the people we are here to serve them. We're going to show the people, and the people will believe in us when they see what we are doing. When there's a sewer running, you must be the first to be there. Be with the people. Talk about how you deal with that problem. I would like to say that now, where we are, the service delivery issue, it's a major issue. But if we don't deal with the ethical issues and behavior and corruption amongst us, people will remain having the services now, but still go and act against you because they believe what they believe and have come to understand. I would like to call on all of you to be diligent. I don't need to teach you about diligence. Careful and persistent work from now on. Steady, earnest, energetic, devoted and painstakingly working and accomplishing your tasks. We need to be able to have a work ethic that says, if there is a sewer, I cannot sleep. I'm going to have to make it happen and solve the problem. I'm going to have to make sure that the commitment is clear, loyalty to the organization and the people. We must be positive about what we're going to do, highly professional. Don't give up your professionalism and your motivation. We need to be highly motivated, responsible, accountable, and competitive. When we were underground, you knew that you couldn't take a chance. You can't make a mistake. You are dead if you made a mistake. We must be a people who are productive when we live here, productive and produce consistently high quality results. When I was in the presidency, I used to say to comrades we worked with, this place is a place to serve. If you are not here to serve, look for a job elsewhere. We don't need to dismiss you. Just look for a job, because here, if you don't perform, there are consequences. And here, there's going to be a clean audit here. It's not difficult to get a clean audit. Get people with skills to help you to do that. Here, if there is something to deliver, we must deliver. Here, we don't miss anything. There was a tender where, I won't talk about it now, we don't have time, where they put a part they know the others don't have. And to make sure that the tender goes to that particular person. It didn't miss my eyes. I looked at it and I said, well, how did you reach this conclusion? No, this part is not available for others. I say, well, who put it there? Who put the condition there so that I can know And indeed, we found that it is the person who applied for the tender, who collaborated with people to put that part there. And therefore, you need to be vigilant. You need to have your eyes open. You need to allow nobody, a revolutionary will not allow anybody to play a game around them. And so, I would like to end by saying, let's go back, and the president will talk about it. Let's go back. We have dealt with 7 years of battle to be where we are. Nothing stops you now to make sure that people have services and that we catch those who act in an unethical way and give the organization a bad name. Our responsibility is to protect the integrity of the organization. I thank you.
Amandla awethu Amandla awethu Matla amelani awuthetha upresident ngoku usinika into ekuthiwa zii-marching orders. Yabona ke marching orders, you don't ask questions. You go and execute. That's what the president is going to do. Unity yethu is going to be critical. We can't fight among ourselves to be powerful. The extremes is when we move emotions of no confidence against each other. It's an anomaly. Mandingangeni kwezo zinto umongameli bazawuqumba, but move emotion of no confidence against your own is an anomaly. Endizawuthetha ngayo xa sekwimedia ngoku izakwenza headline ngaloo nto. Unity of the ANC is paramount. President.
Umza